All right. Welcome to NEBA. And we are going to have this morning presenting Tony Silver. He is a LinkedIn expert, educator, and all around amazing guy. And so, Tony, take it away.
All-round amazing guy. Okay, no pressure whatsoever then. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a quick 10-minute presentation. There's only so much I can do in there. I know some of you have been in rooms with me before, so you will see stuff that you've seen before. But actually, I think that's a good thing because the more you see something, the more it gets embedded into your brain. So let's quickly whiz through presentation. Just to let you know the size of LinkedIn, this beast that we're all on, as of this month, the 1.09 billion user accounts on LinkedIn. In America, actually, recently we've seen a surge. There's about 6 new people joining every second. The 1 billion people was celebrated last December. It actually should read there are 1 billion people that have set up an account since it started. Doesn't mean there's 1 billion on it now. So some of the figures that come out of LinkedIn, maybe slightly, yeah, don't always believe them. Because ultimately, 212 million people in America are on LinkedIn, 2/3 of the population. Yeah, let's face it, that's not really realistic, is it? But it's 2 million up on last week. It's continuing to grow, and there are surges around it. Also, LinkedIn do cull from time to time, and they will remove people for breaking the rules. Very quickly to remind people, it's a massive website, but also it's a massive database, so it's searchable. And therefore, keywords are really important. You need to think about what it is you're looking for, but also what is it you want to be found for. So keywords are something you need to spend a bit of time thinking about. If you're an accountant and that's your keyword, that's a very large pond to swim in. You might want to consider adding to that, not just calling yourself an accountant. I talk about the 4 pillars. The top card, which we concentrate on in the short period of time we've got today, it is a platform that you can optimize. Optimization means you're going to come higher up in search rankings, so a bit like Google. The activities are what drives LinkedIn, and there are lots of rules and regulations in the background about what you should and shouldn't do. Oh, and by the way, they don't publish this, so you don't know what they are. And finally, as I say, it's a search engine, and you can turn very large searches into quite small ones. But we need to concentrate today on the bit I think is the most important, because something else we've got a problem with in this world is attention spans. Now, the gurus, I mean, I've got called a guru. I don't particularly like the title, but the marketing gurus tell me that the average attention span for someone looking at a website is, or it was 7 seconds, and it's diminishing all the time. Now, your LinkedIn profile is a page on a website, so it is definitely applying to you. What can they see? That's the important thing. When they land on your profile, they're only going to see what they see. They're not going to scroll. They're not going to scroll down and see anything further. So we've got to do all our work in those 7 seconds with what people can see. That means it's the banner, it's the headshot, deliberately call it that, the headline that sits underneath your name, and there is a call to action button you can add in there as well. The first 3 I think are the most important because that's probably all they're going to get to look at in 7 seconds. There's also an audio headline which you can add in the app, but again, I think most important things is the 3 items I mentioned. Ensure your banner affirms that the viewer is in the right place. That is worded because they're going to land on your profile. Maybe they met you at a meeting, potentially they did a search and found you in it. When they land on your profile, what do they see? And the banner's right at the top. 70% of people are visually orientated, so they're going to see it. So if you've got a banner like this, probably not a good start because it tells the person viewing absolutely nothing about what this person does. This is obviously the worst case scenario because this is what you were given when you join LinkedIn. Some people will then just have images. Well, a picture paints 1,000 words is a well-known saying. I don't think it does. I think you need to tell people what it is that you do and how you can help them because it's all about the viewer. It's what's in it for me attitude. So in this particular case, this is one of my banners. I have more than one and I do change it regularly. Good tip. Lots of changes on LinkedIn on a regular basis. Kickstarts the algorithm. Down the right-hand side, yeah, what it is that I do? What can I do for you? So if you're looking for LinkedIn training, masterclasses, etc., or a speaker, you're in the right place. This is what I do. I put a logo on there. I think branding it is also very important, certainly if you're heavily into branding, but also I left space around my headshot. Now that headshot is called a headshot because 70% of people are now looking you up on their phones. Screens on phones are a lot smaller. So LinkedIn basically increase the size of your headshot on the banner on the app, which means it takes up more space. So what I say to people is go and have a look at your own LinkedIn profile on your own phone. Now, if you can't see stuff because it's hidden behind your LinkedIn profile picture, or some of the text is too small, you can't read it, guess what? Other people can't either. Therefore, you might want to consider changing it so you can actually see it. But yes, this is a good starting point. If you can affirm to the person they're in the right place, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need to make sure. This is a version. One of my clients, again, is a mixture of logos and some wordings and some ideas of what that is that they do, etc., etc. This one, again, could be under jeopardy that seeing that on a phone might be too small, which means some of the messaging is missing. So you definitely need to go and have a look at it on your phone. Professional looking headshots. No, I haven't said professional headshots because these days, most of those mobile phones we carry around with us have got perfectly good cameras to do what you need to do for a profile picture. You know, the resolution's good enough. You've all got plain walls behind you. You can get a photograph taken against one of those. The trouble is if you decide to be a bit creative, be a bit different, or just not understand the brief full stop, and you end up with one of these versions, they don't work. This, in particular, the left-hand side one, goes back to the would you see this properly on a phone? No, you wouldn't be able to see this person's characteristics of their face, etc. at all. For me, very cluttered background, hands in pockets. It just looks unprofessional. It's not the sort of person I think I'll be looking to reach out to at all. This person was trying to be clever. They were into mobile telecommunications, but an even cleverer student I taught once said, "Oh, are they a drug dealer? Is that their burner phones and the drugs stashed away?" Yeah, and that's probably not the impression that that person was looking for. And then other people just get carried away. Now, some of you in the room will be film buffs and may have seen this British film called Kingsman. The main character was Galahad, and he wore glasses. So wouldn't it be great if I was actually connected to a Hollywood star? I am, but not this particular one. And also, the person whose profile it was not even an optician. No, you need to go, which is a really probably you could call it a boring specification. Yeah, I call it a headshot because we need to see it on the phone. I suggest you declutter the background to make sure you stand out against it. So you could have a plane or you could blur it. Absolutely no problems at all. This one possibly could be cropped a bit tighter as well. But one thing they've all got in common, they've all got eye contacts. I've seen 2 or 3 people recently I've had one-to-ones with, and their profiles are doing that. Well, actually, if I met you in person, which I hope to one day come across to America, but even on a Zoom call, even now in a breakout room, am I going to be doing? I know I'm going to be looking you in the eyes. So eye contact is vital. They've all also got a little bit of a smile going on. Yeah, they look approachable. That's the main thing. And the bit that you don't know is if you met these people today, that's what they look like. Okay. Out of date profile pictures have no place on LinkedIn. It gives the wrong impression because if that's out of date, what else is out of date on LinkedIn? And that for me just gives the wrong impression. So are the vital parts of your top card aligned with this? Is there maybe some little tweaking you've got to do? Bring it up to date. And tweaking on LinkedIn is good. You know, for me, it's important. LinkedIn, if they had their way, you'll be on their platform all day long. They love it. But of course, we've got real work to do, and therefore we can't be. The last thing of those 3 things is the headline. You know, it sits there underneath your name. It's 220 characters long. So I always say to people, consider using the 220 characters to put enough information in there to give the person good reason to scroll down to your about section at the end of that 7 seconds. Also, other things you can add. So that's my name. Behind that is a name pronunciation. It is available on the app and it's 10 seconds long, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, Tony K. Silver is not that hard to pronounce. But because it's 10 seconds long, I've turned it into an audio headline. If the person is curious and presses it, they get the whole 10 seconds of me telling them what it is I can do. Pronouns can be put in here. I personally don't use pronouns. I know lots of people do, but also know there's a custom version. So I've been a bit creative and called myself educator speaker. it kind of helps. Verification, yeah, obviously, what you chaps in America have got a far better system we had in the UK. They really give us a right old rubbish one, so we don't tend to do it in this country. But it's worthwhile doing. And then you've got 220 characters available to you. I suggest that you use them. Bit at the front, make sure that the piece at the front is what you do. Okay, LinkedIn profiler, because when you look at it on the app, you only see a certain amount of characters. So to make it sense, you need to make sure you tell them what it is you do. Then go on and give them a bit more information about what it is that you do. Put some credibility in there. If you've been involved in a certain industry for a long time, tell us, because ultimately you could be in a search with someone else who's got a lot less experience than you. I think that's really worth doing. Yes, the areas in which we are, you can change though. That is driven by area code, okay? Zip code. I'm trying to think about, because it's not postcode in this country, the zip code. So you can actually move it. It doesn't have to be exactly where you are. So if you may live one place, but you do a lot of work in another place, you could actually change that. It's driven by the zip code. It has the number of connections you've got on there. And underneath it, you've got all these buttons. Strongly suggest, as my last top tip, go and discover the add profile section button. We've all got it. And you'll find there's loads and loads of sections in there you may not actually have. They could be of value two ways. A, to the viewer, but secondly, the more sections you fit on LinkedIn, the better the results you're going to get. So go and discover that. But have a think about what I've said here today. Are any of those areas I've looked at something that you might need to be tweaking, maybe? I'm sure that no one's got a really bad one, but I'm sure everyone has got the ability just to tweak it around what I've just said, just to make sure that that 7-second decision is, I'm going to scroll down and find out more about this person rather than I'm going to scroll away and find about their competition. Thank you. My 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Tony. That was wonderful.